we are live directly with Niels, the prophet. So I'm gonna do a check just to see that everything is fine. Niels, I'm gonna tell the guys that I'm gonna translate some questions for them in Italian so they will understand.
Go for it.
Allora ragazzi, per chi si connetterà più tardi tradurrò io le eventuali domande, quindi fate le domande in italiano o in inglese, prenderò le domande e nel caso poi le tradurrò, quelle più interessanti. So, here we are, directly with Niels. Welcome Niels, it's a pleasure for me interviewing you. And I think I want to start with like this live, as I told you, it's like something that people actually needed to know. Like there is another side of the story that people like in the community of seduction, they always knew. You know, there is another side and very deep side. So I want to start with your story. Okay. So like before discovering, you know, the concept of radical honesty, the inner work and everything, you know, who are you? So because like we know about some orgies, some stuff and some crazy shit. So I want to start with your story.
Yeah. So yeah, basically I'll tell you how it was for me growing up and what happened as I got into the seduction community or the pickup community. So basically all my teenage years, I had issues with girls in the way that I was so scared to approach women, even you know in friend circles, that I never managed to actually have a single experience with women, except one when I was 17. Before I found game, you know, I had one in my whole life before I found game.
Game is and this seduction. Game is seduction in Italian. Yeah.
Before I found the seduction game, you know, and this was a bit funny because I was an athlete. I was a breakdancer at a very high level, and every one of my single friends, they all had so many girls, and I had none. So I was a cool person in many ways, but certain experiences I had as a teenager made me block myself, and also as a child, also made me block myself. So when I was 20. I was thinking like, what if I never meet any girls? And all of a sudden I find this like seduction game through the internet. And
this dark community.
I
this
find
dark
this dark
community.
Hole, and I know that day that my life was going to change because I had such a strong experience just listening to someone. And the thing that changed in my mind was that approaching a girl that I don't know went from impossible to possible in my mind.
Same for me. Yeah. So you go from 0 to 100. Yeah, I remember the first time I asked the girl's number and I was like, what the fuck? This is really possible. Yeah.
And then for me, what happened is I went out for 6 months by myself because I was too shy to try to get someone to game with someone. I went out by myself for 6 months almost every day, and pretty much nothing happened. Like I made out with a girl, or I got 2 numbers.
So wait,
that's because
you're telling me that you went out approaching girls using the volume technique and doing 6 months straight of approaching, and actually nothing happened.
Yeah.
How many girls do you think did you approach?
5 a day.
For
6 months.
30 days, 150 a month. For 6 months, 1,000. Oh my God.
1,000.
1,000.
Yeah.
1,000 girls. So
Yeah.
for all the people watching, Niels is one of my mentors and is the founder of the X Social Prime, the real seduction community. We are talking about real stuff, not emotional stuff, woo-woo, but real stuff. So we are going to elaborate about his story. So you're speaking about the technique, you know, and you went out for months and nothing happened.
Yes. Nothing happened. It was too hard actually to push it. Like I mastered the aspect of approaching someone, but I could not do anything more until I got a good friend of mine who was also a breakdancer. I got him into the game and he became my mentor by me just looking at him. So he was doing very well. He was naturally good. And I just look at him and then slowly I start to become good as well. And we would go out. I remember this. We'd go out in my old hometown, like way back. I approached like 30 girls in the club, and every girl we bring, he hooks them, and they're onto him, and they don't want to be with me, you know. And then, you know,
Good.
eventually he gets the nice one, and I have like the not so nice one, and then like he gets her, and then slowly I get the not nice one, and then she's the next time the girl is better looking, and then at some point we're at the same level.
Okay. How much time did it took for you?
This was I would say, so those 6 months nothing happened, and then the year I had after, it was very successful.
Okay.
So within 1 year of doing the whole thing, I was quite successful.
Okay, so 1 year of continuously effort and going against you and everything, and you were getting decent, you know?
Yeah, I would say by myself, nothing was happening. If I would do that for 10 years, I would be still nothing happening.
So you still needed
Right?
a mentor?
I needed maybe not a mentor who coaches me, but I needed someone that I can make my mentor. So he don't need to coach me. He just need to be better than me.
There for me.
And I will learn from him, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like those were the years, which ones? Like which years we are talking about?
Okay, so we're talking about 2014.
Okay, so when in Italy, they were just speaking about the telephone number, you know, just took the telephone number and then you go. So after that, what happened? So you started to get really good, you know. You start to
Yes.
get more girls.
In
and
2015, I got really good. Because 2014, I was with my mentor, and then he left, and then I met Yolmas, who was a friend who I became his mentor, and he was very, very motivated, and I was very, very motivated. So we were going out at this time, probably six nights a week, and we were working, and I was also training. I was training professional breakdance, and I was working, and I was just sleeping on the Sunday, like 16 hours, you know.
Oh my God!
And I
game.
Yeah, 2015, 2016 was probably where I was the craziest. Like I probably tried to pull many hundreds of times, and I succeeded hundreds of times as well.
God. So, okay, you touched a really good point. You know why? Because I started to talk in Italy, like to the community, you know, about really the behind the scenes of the seduction. What does it mean? Even when it was technical, our objective, your objective and mine, was to go into the club, bring some girls out and bring them home. In Italy, and I see your look, you're like disappointed, but it's true, man. So in Italy, for years, they were just like, okay, go approach some girls, just take the number and let the destiny goes. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, if you don't have like the motivation, the fury, the leading, girls are not coming with you. even naturally, but more importantly, technically. So like in 2016 and 15, you were bringing girls home constantly. And that's why
I would say
I chose you in the beginning.
I wanted to say this, like, probably, so my inspiration at that time was RSD. I was listening to RSD. They were like the biggest one at the time, and they had some amazing content at the time, to be honest. Not everything, but I was listening to, Tyler had a series called Success Principles, and I probably listened to it 10 times. And Julian had a series called Top Inner Game Concepts, something like this. And I listened to these two again and again, and I would just do what they said. So this was not just in games, this was in life. So many things happened to me in my life. But one thing is, during this time of 2015 and 16, I was so obsessed, and I was trying to pull always. Like, pulling means you pull someone out of the club and it fails. Okay. Because you're not pulling someone who likes you. You're just trying to like learn something.
Get the point, you know.
Pushing. You're pushing.
Yeah. And it's crazy because there are still many coaches in Italy who are proud of that, you know. My mission is to go and fuck so many girls that at the end of the world will explode and nothing will stay, you know. So I think that up until a certain point, you realized that something was off. And I remember that you were saying at the first seminar that I attended that your story was that you were going to work for them. So you took a boot camp, they selected you.
Yes.
You were about to go, but then the destiny. What happened?
Yeah, so I took a boot camp in 2015, and it was with Todd, and he was very impressed. So he invited me to work for them. And I went there, and I came to the airport in America, and I just... here was so interesting because I thought I was so confident, and I was in the situation in a club. But here is the border guard, and this person that I am underneath comes up. And I'm just like, I probably said the most stupid shit. Like, I almost sent myself back, you know. And then, of course, they took me into the border control. They detained me for 10 hours, and they sent me back. So I was deported.
But not because you are selling drugs, but because when you go to America, you need to provide a contract, and at the time they didn't have the possibility to give you that. I understand good.
Yes.
So you have to go inside with a work contract.
Yeah, and to be fair, I didn't know that it was this strict. So if I had known, I would have taken it serious and pretty much said, "Oh, I'm just going for vacation." But I didn't know this at the time, you know.
The price of honesty, you know. So you came back, and basically your dream was off, you know. And then what happened? So how did you discover that, you know, like, I'm curious about that. When actually do you discover it that you were just putting a mask? So when you discovered the bad things about you were still there.
So during the whole time of 2015 and 2016, I started to see it a little bit. Like in 2014, I was very intense as well, and I had a period of 3 months where I was pulling 40 times, and I didn't get laid even once. I mean, you know, like I go with a girl, she don't want to come up the house. I go with the girl the next day, she don't want to come up the house. I go with another girl, she comes to the bed, she don't want to have sex. And like this was happening, and then like after 3 months, finally, like 2 years before the New Year's, I meet a girl and I struggle for like half a day, and then we have sex, you know. And I'm like, so
half a day.
Yeah, like I stay with her, I sleep over until the next day, you know, and then, you know, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And then I had all these huge success afterwards. But for me, I understood. I got this strong success by forcing myself. Like, I became very good at enduring a lot of pain. If you truly just want to do this, you can, you can force yourself like crazy and get laid, but at some point you're gonna burst.
Yeah.
Because you're putting yourself under so much pressure all the time. So that's what's starting to happen. So I couldn't get into America, and then I went to Norway, and then I was doing the same thing, meeting a lot of girls, working and stuff. And then slowly I started to realize, like, oh, I'm not, like, this is not it. I thought I was gonna get happy if I'm getting laid a lot, but I'm not happy. And at
You
the
were
time,
not happy.
I could still not get relationships, which I wanted to have relationships, but I could not because I was so invested in the next girl.
Yeah. You touched a good point. You know why? Because people in the community, they don't understand this. They come into the seduction world to have the possibility and the knowledge to meet girls, and to have one girl or many girls. But then they go into it, and even if with the perfect technique, even if I'm able to go there and say, hey, nice to meet you, and I'm gonna get the girl, I'm not gonna keep it. So it becomes a trap. You go into the seduction to get the girls, but then you get the girls, you don't keep them, and you keep chasing them because you don't feel enough for them. And at the end, it becomes this, this downward spiral, and you still in the game, you still want to meet girls, you still want to fuck girls, but you're not able to keep them,
Yes. That's the thing. Like, I would say this, for me, I have never been very technical because I didn't bother to like learn all this mental stuff. Like, it was too much in the head to try to know everything in every conversation. Like, so I was not so technical, but I was very dependent on getting into state. So I would find out how to get into state, and then I could only get girls in state. So I could not have a date with a girl. Like, let's say I have sex with a girl and I want to meet her again. I cannot, because I have to be in state. Like, imagine.
Yeah, but these are the things that people teach in the community. I'm not joking about that, man. They are doing videos where they are telling poor mans to approach girls occupying space, So that's why, and it's really, it's really confusing. And like, what did you realize that something was off, And when do you discover, and how do you discover primal honesty?
So me realizing that something was off was like dominoes, like one thing after one, and then at some point I was just like, oh shit. So in 2017 in 2016 I met Chris Wilde, and in 2017 is when he approached me to do Social Prime together, and in mid 2017 is when we started to coach and do immersion programs. So that's when we started the Social Prime as a proper company. What was the second part of the question you had?
Yeah, like, how did you come up with radical honesty? And I imagine, and we are going to elaborate on that you had some resistance from the people around you and the community. So how did you get to be actually you with women, or being honest?
So the core of the concepts was basically emotional awareness, even in the beginning, and a very, very, very different understanding of self-esteem. So we were always teaching, even in the first immersions, how to feel yourself and how to connect to your actual self-esteem. which we believe is not high or low, but it's just like infinite. Like it's self-esteem, which is constant, meaning that you actually don't give a fuck never about
Yeah.
anything. It's just that it's blocked, and then you give a fuck in the blockage. But you take away the blockage, then you don't care. Like that's how I live most of my life right now, you know. Literally don't care so much.
Yeah.
And if I care, it's a blockage, and I can see it, and I know how to deal with it. Now, that was 2017, and then we started to teach, and we had 5 immersions in 2017. So we coached like something like more than 20 people. When we started to coach, that's when the idea of honesty started to come, because we coached many different people from different places. Old guys, like young guys, short guys, tall guys, Asians.
I'm curious. How many guys did you coach? Like during all your career, quote unquote, up until now?
So if I count everything, it's more than 200 people.
Mm-hmm.
But if I coach from Social Prime, it's little less than 100 people.
Mm-hmm. One-on-one, personally, almost.
In Social Prime, it was through the immersion. And then I coached almost 100 people after Social Prime as well.
Okay, so you were coaching people, and then you were coming up with a new way of like viewing things, you know.
Yeah, to give
And
you, as we discussed before, to give you the coach's perspective, which the student don't understand, is when you get so many people that you start to coach. See, even if you're coaching in a technical perspective, if you tell everyone the same thing, it's not going to work on everyone.
yeah,
It's just going to work on some people. Even if like, let's say you have the space thing that you said, taking space. If you say that to 10 people, it's going to work on 2 people. It's going to be so-so on 5 people, and on 3 people, it's going to be horrible.
yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah.
So we started understanding this because we worked with our clients at the time for 15 days, you know, and a crazy amount of time that we worked, and we could see that, wait a minute, we cannot just teach technical stuff because it doesn't work on everyone.
Yeah.
So then we try to find out, how can we find out what's going to work on everyone? And that's when the idea of honesty started to come up, because we, from the understanding of self-esteem that we had, which was still the core even from the beginning of what Social Prime was about, we started to understand what is it that's in the way for the self-esteem to be there. And that is emotional blockages.
Yeah.
So you go up and you are nervous. In the core of you, you're not nervous. You cannot be nervous. But on top, you are nervous. Now, honesty is a way to find what that nervousness is and to express it.
And remove it.
Yes. You remove it by expressing it and letting it come up and circulate and exit the body. Now, some people in the beginning, the resistance we had was people were saying, yeah, but how are you going to be attractive if you're nervous? Well, my response was, you're anyway nervous. What you're going to do? You're going to try to cover it up.
Yeah.
So if you're nervous, you own that you're nervous. People don't want to do this because they think if they accept that they're nervous, they're going to be like this forever. No.
Yeah. Yeah. And the worst part is that the pickup community, like continuously is reinforcing the reality where you shouldn't have fear, you shouldn't have feel this, you shouldn't feel another way. So it is basically the pickup community with the alpha male videos, the beta male videos, is reinforcing a reality that is almost impossible. So a reality where a man, he doesn't feel emotions. But as you said, the baby doesn't have approach anxiety. So the baby, the child doesn't have approach anxiety. The child gets hurt, and like at that time, it's when the blockages are formed. So the people in the community, they still hanging on this bullshit about, I'm gonna teach you how to handle approach anxiety, but that means that you will always have approach anxiety. And that is not true. You're not born with approach anxiety. If that was true, why the baby hasn't approach anxiety? A baby has no filters. So a child
Yeah.
is very
Yeah.
attractive because he has no filters. So the whole point is not working to cage the emotion, but use the emotion for you.
Yes. 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 You have to understand that this emotion is not coming from outside. It's coming from inside, and you are reacting to something. Now, you have two choices. When an emotion comes up, you can push it down, ignore it, or try to think that it's not there, which is pretty much lying to yourself because it is there. Or instead, you can accept it or allow it to yourself to experience it. So you can push it away, or you can bring it towards yourself. You can run away from it, or you can run straight into it. The honesty was a way to do that.
Yeah.
Now, what happens when you truly do this is that you express the full layer of, let's say, approach anxiety or nervous. You're nervous and you express all of it. What happens many times is you go straight through the layer when you express it, and then your real self-esteem is coming up, and then the girl connects to this like crazy because she also is nervous sometimes, and she becomes attracted to this. And all of a sudden you have like the strongest connection you ever felt in 20 minutes. This
is also linked to the fact that we humans, we push away whatever is not aligned. So whatever is, we feel that is not authentic, we like push it away, and we are not able to connect. So like, again, people in the community say that if you're nervous, you can have girls. But this is a lie, because there is a reality that it doesn't exist where a girl doesn't feel emotion. So it seems like girls are in the club just because they get approached, they don't feel anything. So it's a false reality, I mean.
Yeah. I would say this. I actually had this thought in my mind today, that if you do not learn how to handle your emotions, your life is going to become torture at some point, no matter what you do. No matter how rich you are, no matter how many girls you get, no matter the level of success you had, if you never learn how to handle your emotions, they are going to turn against you. This is what happens. That happened to me, all of the social prime guys, and many other people we know in the community, that before we knew all of this, we were pushing and pushing and pushing. And later we had to do huge amounts of work to undo this damage, because we had pushed so much, because our emotions have turned against us. Right? Like, imagine, for me, I could not date a girl if I was not in state. And as I tried to start to date girls, I had to feel like so vulnerable, like a little child. Like, at that point, I'd been with so many girls in my life, and now I tried to meet a girl a few times. I actually failed a few times. I dated 4 girls in Poland, and like, I broke up with all of them because I couldn't meet them. Like, I was meeting them a few times. I was feeling so uncomfortable. Like, I was feeling really, really bad, you know?
I never knew about this crazy story. That is good. Good to know, actually. Good to know. Yeah, but it's true, because many people, you know what is funny? That also, like, you did, and I did, and like many guys did, we had an alter ego. So another persona, you know, we had different names, you know, and the more we have invested in the identity, the more like the harder it was to come back, you know. So many coaches, for example, in Italy, they have, you know, fake names, and they are proud of that, but they are damaging themselves, because the true self is just, you know, hiding somewhere, and at some point it doesn't matter how many girls you fuck. I mean, when I went into the immersion, I was probably, you know, I remember one weekend I stayed with
Mm.
5 girls. And I was like, no, something is off here, because
Yeah.
I couldn't meet a girl if I wasn't in state like you. So
Yeah.
if I wasn't clapping the hands, or not in state, but clapping the hands, but if everything wasn't perfect,
Like,
yeah,
hi.
man, it's some sort of things they do in the community, like clapping the hands. Like many people talk about getting into social mode, so going into the
Yeah.
club, talking at the phone, or chatting to someone. But people never realize that every day you simply go back. So you go to a club,
Yeah.
you meet this girl, you bring her home, you're fake as fuck, you are fake. And the next day, you go to the club and you do the same thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, it never ends.
Yeah. Yeah. You stay at the same level. You never go to
Yeah,
the next level.
yeah.
And
So,
that's what. Yeah. Tell me.
about this, that is actually interesting. I wanted to ask you, like many guys, about interactions and everything, girls, they have common problems. For example, they can't express themselves, they have
Mhm.
a blockage in the conversation, approach anxiety, or in Italy, the common lessons are: you have to be aware of how do you approach, the exact angle of the approach, or the body language you use. What are
Mhm.
your thoughts about the external stuff and the coping?
So the first thing you have to understand is that everything you do is dictated from what's inside. So, the reason your body language is shit is because you feel nervous, right? The truth is, if you change your body language, it could influence your emotion, but it's much more unlikely, and it will take a lot of time because you are forcing yourself. And then that force, you will have to deal with it. So you have an extra thing you're putting into the mix. Instead of dealing with the symptom, which is the bad body language, you should deal with the cause, which is basically the emotion of feeling nervous. I
Mhm.
remember this, and I won't tell you what coach it was, but I had a call with a guy who was doing game. I had like two calls with him, just like as a friend, and he showed me another famous pickup guy, like really famous actually, and a guy who's probably good as well. He was analyzing like an approach, and he showed me the coach analyzing the approach, and he was technical, and he said all these things. He's like, you're nervous, and then, oh, you should do this, you should step back, oh, you should take more space, you should speak slower. He addressed everything on the outside. It's like, instead of changing the ingredients of the cake, you're going to change how the cake looks. It's still going to be a shitty cake. And all I said is, if only you did one thing, which is to focus on the emotional nervousness and expressing it. Or let's say you even just go and sit down and feel that emotion to get in touch with it. Those two things would have much more effect than doing any technical change on the outside. And I knew
Yeah,
it 100%.
yeah, yeah. So people are still, I mean, every time I say this, some people they get confused, but they still believe, some people, that if you feel nervous, like the only thing you have to do is to change the body, like the step, or or what you have on the outside, I mean. And people still believe that. So people still believe that your neediness is not going to be perceived if you take a step back. But it doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Yeah, it can be perceived for sure, and that's not very good. But also, you having all this neediness, if you don't deal with it in this moment, you're pushing it to the next. So you have to understand what the honesty is about. Maybe it's not always going to be the best way to get that particular girl, but at least you're going to take care of this thing, which is the nervousness, instead of pushing it to tomorrow. Because what you're doing when you're never giving space for this neediness and you're never expressing it and you're always doing techniques over it, is that imagine you're having a bank loan and they're like, oh, you want to pay? You're like, no, tomorrow. But you want to pay? Oh, tomorrow. And then the loan becomes massive and now you have a problem.
Yeah. So basically, like the thing that you just said, and then we are seeing some questions, is like the same thing that I tell my students. So if you're still honest and you express the emotion, if you express your neediness, it doesn't need to be like that you get the girl, but at the end of the day, you are still removing the blockage.
Yeah.
And you're working on yourself.
Yes. Here's the thing also.
So elaborate on that.
Just to add
I'm
on
curious.
this. Yeah, just to add on this, like when you get into the practice of expressing yourself more honestly, the girls that really don't like this, they are not your girls. You don't want them actually. You just want the outside, you think they're hot. But actually, as a person, you don't connect. But the ones that like it, they're gonna love you. And here's the thing, this is not only me saying this, like way back when we listened to RSD, they were talking about congruence. They didn't say it in the way we said it. They never talked about honesty, but they said that, you know, if you're honest inside yourself, that's the best way to be, you know. So this exists not only from us. This is like anyone that goes out enough times, unless he just want to bang like girls his whole life and never have a relationship or never, you know.
No, you will never have it.
Yeah.
Like you know why it's like it's a good thing that you are here, because the last stand of defense of people who go against the inner work, they were saying, just because it didn't work for you, it doesn't mean that it doesn't work for them. But apparently in this life, we are not so few people who got damaged by the pickup. I mean, the danger of pickup and the conditioning, it's very huge actually.
Yeah.
So like the technique and the technique world, it's like it's really ruining people's lives. So before moving forward, most of the time when I meditate and I release blocked emotions, I feel pleasant shivers. Okay, a question. After meditating for months, this also happens passively when I'm doing something else now. It happens to you too? So to have pleasant shivers?
Yeah, I don't know if I call it pleasant shivers, but yeah, what you have there, I have it all the time. All the time, not one time, always. And
do you feel more at peace now?
What you're expressing is when you release blocked emotions, you're allowing something. Now, my state of allowance is very high because I did it for so many years. Yeah, like I feel more at peace, or I feel more happy actually, because I'm allowing. Things don't like hurt me in the same way that it would in the past.
Yeah. So another question. One of my students asks why many guys use congruence or primal honesty as a technique, how to avoid that, and at the end, if it's better work on the emotion by meditating or being authentic, you know? This is a really good question, by the way.
Yeah. I would say when you're avoiding something. So you can use a technique. If you use the honesty as a technique, it will be very bad for you. It will be very bad. You'll see it right away, how the girl feels like you're trying to manipulate her by manipulating her emotions, you know. And you are trying to avoid something. instead of actually going into that spot where it hurts, you just go around it pretending that you're doing it, and it's not very good. This also happens with people that just go and meditate when actually something in them really wants to go outside and expose. You just want to sit in a room. See, you should sit in the room and you should go out and expose. You should do both. You don't just do one of them.
Yeah, those are the things that I'm repeating since years in the community, the internal approach and the external approach. That's why I brought you live, to finally tell the truth. So there is a combination of like external work and the internal work. So you can stay all the day and sit down and meditate and do nothing, basically. You still have to do the work, you know, but it's smart work, not dumb work. And
Yeah.
okay, so for you, it's like 50-50. 50% meditation and 50% going out, or?
No, it's not 50-50. It's depending on the times for me. It's like sometimes 90-10, one way or the other, right? But sometimes it's 50-50. So it's just, I've been here for so long that right now I know that some months I feel like just being inside for most of the time and just being out a little bit and doing this. And then some other months it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So, but just to know,
Yeah.
you need both.
Yeah. So my assistant says hi to you because he's owing the account, and he says that he first discovered primal honesty saying to a girl that he was late. He had a fight. Okay, he was sad because he had a fight with his friends. Yeah, that's when he discovered primal honesty, the behind the scenes. So really good guy, Lorenzo. So you are saying basically about all the problems in the community that like the mean of the technique, you know, the end of a technique is just to cover up basically the problem.
Yeah.
So you're going out and you're trying to mask the problem, trying to manipulate a girl to come with you, because at the end is manipulation.
I would say like, yes, but that's not the worst thing. Like, I don't make a moral judgment because I also manipulated at some point when I was younger, you know, because I was in pain and I thought it was cool or whatever. It's not even about this, about being morally good. It's about the fact that what happens to you when you are actually manipulating yourself. Because what you're doing is that you are constantly covering up, like, and the thing is, why don't you want to show yourself? Because you think you are that fucked up person, you think you are that damaged person, you think you are the super nervous one. That's not even who you are. That's just half the way. You have to go deeper, and that's what we talk about in Social Prime, that your self-esteem is a constant. It's not high, it's not low, it's just always there, meaning that it's at the highest at all times, but sometimes it's blocked. Why don't you want to go into the blockage? Because you think that's the end. No, that's just 50% of the way. Here you are at the top trying to do a technique. Fuck this. Go down to the blockage here, finish the blockage, and come down here. And here you have self-esteem. Here you don't worry about anything. And then you live from this point. And then sometimes a new blockage comes up. You never go and do a technique. You only go just to the blockage, so you come down here. This you have to understand. You have to understand it, because if you don't understand it, you're never going to want to feel nervous. I love to feel nervous. Why? Because every time I do it, I get to finish it.
Yeah. So basically, when you use primal honesty not as a technique, but as a way of being, and I always tell my guys, the honesty concept is just a part. So as you were doing after, you implemented some stuff, you know, not external stuff, but some inner work stuff. But like when you are really really, really honest, everything changes.
I would even tell you this: I don't even do primal honesty because it's just training wheels.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to ride a bike, you put training wheels. So of course, primal honesty is not perfect, but I have not done primal honesty for years, except in very, very tough situation. Then I do it because then it's needed. All other times, I am honest. All other times,
because it's a way of being.
Yes.
It's a way of being. It's not something that you like you extract from somewhere. It's a way of being. So my assistant, like, I remember the story. He's thanking you because he was very technical in the past, and he accidentally discovered radical honesty when he basically said to this girl that he was sad because he had a fight with his friend, and he pulled the girl 20 minutes after. So it's really crazy. So some guy said, another guy, Michele, asks, how much time does it take, in your opinion, to eliminate approach anxiety?
It really depends on who you are. Some people
Who
are
you are.
very
Yeah.
severe approach
Yeah.
anxiety, and some people don't. But if you give like 3 months
Yeah.
of a good effort, I would say this: you give 3 months of good effort, and then you take like 2 weeks off, and then you come back to it normally. For most people, it should probably be reduced to at least 50%.
Yeah. Yeah. At least. But I see many guys in 1 month, almost 80%. Not everyone, being honest, but
Of
there
course
is
not.
a really, really good decreasing. So Andrea asks, I have a question for both. You basically create a connection with a girl. I heard that you stay with a lot of girls, but how do you feel when you stay far from her, when she's engaged with, when you are engaged with another one? Sorry.
Yeah. Could you define the end of the question? I don't understand the end of the question.
I'm trying to understand as well. How do you feel when you
You can
stay?
write. He can write it in Italian.
Yeah. So basically, I think he's asking, how do you feel? When like you connect with a girl. Like, for example, I went in Poland. I stayed with many girls, using, quote unquote, using, the primal
Yeah.
honesty. I was really connected with them. So Andrea asks, how do you feel when you move from the place and you go like to another place, so you're far from the girl you just met, and in the other place that you are staying you meet other girls? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it depends. You can feel heartbroken if you live with someone that you have so strong connection with. Yeah, this is probably more of like a relationship question that you're asking, but yeah, for me, see, I was in Budapest before I came here. I'm in Portugal right now. I was in Budapest, and I was dating a few girls. At the end, I was just dating one girl because I liked her the most, and I was meeting her almost every day for the last week. I was sad when I left. Like, I almost cried when I left, and then I felt sad for 2-3 weeks, and then it passed.
Yeah. I think the same, actually. I think the same. So I think that, like, the space and time, it's really bad for for the connection, but I mean, life is life, so you simply
Yeah.
move on. I mean, those people are just, have to be good memories, and that's it.
Also, like, if you really, really love someone, you can actually move there, if that's the case. But probably that's not the case for most people. In that way, you have to understand that this was just meant to be like that. This was meant to be a very strong connection for both. or maybe something changed for the both of you that you will carry on to the next interactions, and so will she.
Yeah. So, moving on, before reading other questions, people want to know now the crazy stuff. Okay, so they want to know the crazy stuff, and before knowing
Yeah.
some crazy stuff, I just wanted to briefly introduce another part. So when I meet you, and I was, I was in Sopot. It was this meeting, and I was
Yeah.
seeing all these different companies talking about everything. And one of the things that really I was really impressed about you and about your coaching and the social prime was not only the other view of the seduction, because I was still like I was King, you are the best. I was studying the mind, and then I went into Sopot, and I always had one thing in mind. If one guy has to coach me, has to prove me that he's really good at this. And
Yeah.
I saw you. I saw the proofs. I saw the threesomes. I saw the foursomes. And then I was like, okay, listen. In Italy, I'm going to teach you how to take this girl's numbers. In Sopot, I'm seeing this stuff, I'm doing this stuff. Okay, where I have to pay, please? Where I have to send the money, please? So, so after seeing all this stuff, I was like, okay, that's the way it is. So proofs, uh, guys that go in fields, and you were also doing approaching girls in front of us. So like the guys
Yeah.
that they didn't have the mind clear on this can see you, and can see you guys. And in Italy, like basically no one is going outside. So that was the thing that really impressed me. So people want to know some of your crazy stories. I just I know that you have probably 1,000 ones, and yeah, Lorenzo writes, we already know about the hot Italian flight assistant girl. So he was telling you really good. So in my opinion, actually, I think what's best for the people, it's not coming here and bragging about something, but I really want to share with us, if you want, some of the stories that are really mixing the honesty and
Yeah.
the results. Because,
Yeah.
and I'm going to elaborate on that with you now, the end is not to get the girl. It
Yeah.
is to get the girl, but it is to change, so I think it's best if we don't go just for the point, but if you show us some vulnerability as well. Like, we are not perfect, but we are
Yeah.
perfectly fine with ourselves.
Yeah. I mean, it's important how many goals I scored. I need to tell you all the hat tricks. Okay, actually, let me tell you one of the craziest. That was the craziest experiences in my life at that time, and I will tell you the craziest part about this. So, the first one is when I found out about game. The day I found out about game, the first
Mhm.
time, I had a vision in my head. And the vision was that I was gonna have this like blonde girl in a shower who's so beautiful, and like we are like a thing. We're having sex and stuff. 1 year later, it happened, right? And it happened in a way that I went to the capital in Sweden and I was by myself. And I hated going out by myself because it was very hard for me to get in state. And I was nervous. I was so nervous. I went to this club and I showed him the ID. and the key was so long, and I thought I would never get in the club because it was a really good club. And I said, if I don't get in, I just go home because I'm too nervous. And then I get in and I'm like, fuck, okay, I'm inside. I don't do anything for 30 minutes. And after 30 minutes or 1 hour, I'm just feeling so bad. I'm like, okay, I have to do something. And I just approach, like, if I get rejected, I go to someone else. I go to someone else. This is way back, like before honesty. And then I just find one girl, and she likes me. And then I'm like, I'm never letting go of her, you know? And then I stuck with her. And this was this Russian girl, and she had a friend who just left her, and I was alone with her. And it ended up me like pulling her to going to her hotel. And then when it was finished, we were in the shower, and it was this girl that I had in my vision. And you know, the next day we spend the day together in the city and walking around and stuff. And I still have a little bit contact with this girl on Instagram. Like, we're still talking a little bit.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. And what was like a crazy stories like the one you said with Alex, where you really like felt the power of being honest? Maybe some experiences with students, or maybe a girl that really impressed you, or you know, I know that you have many. Try to select the best one.
I mean, so a few times, I think like one time in Barcelona, me and Chris, we had like 3 threesomes 3 days in a row. So no, foursomes. It was like me and him and 2 girls, and then the next day, and then the next day. And we were doing it just by being honest. And I remember the one in the middle of these ones. One of the girls, girls hated us. Like,
elaborate on that. So you were basically going to the girls. So you're going into club, you and Chris, you know. I'm hoping that I will be able to bring him here. But you were going to the clubs, and like how, like, people, they will watch this live and they will be wondering, okay, how can you be honest and still get 3 girls? How?
I remember this, the one in the middle, they actually hated us. No, they pretended to hate us. So these American girls, and we go there, and this is after the club, we're on the beach, and we start to talk with them, and they just throw shit at us, and we're just like, oh, I don't like what you say. Oh, that kind of hurts. Like, and then we keep talking with them, like whatever shit they make us feel like they're trying to attack us or shit test us, we say it. We just say what we feel, you know. And then,
so for example, you're basically failing a shit test, telling the girls that you feel angry about what she's throwing.
We're failing on purpose. We're failing on purpose.
So you are telling in front of the community people that in front of a series of shit tests, every shit test you were failing it on purpose, and
and moving things forward. failing, and then like because the thing is, the only way you can truly fail a shit test is if you fake.
Yeah.
Actually, like,
yeah.
And here's the thing, like, when that happened, we dealt with a lot of emotion. So they were hitting us to see if we're like these insecure people. And we're like, I feel insecure, but I am not insecure.
Yeah.
Because if I was, I would never say that.
I'm going to tell you this, and it's really like really important and curious, you know. So this is a thing that I never said because it just happened, you know, one of the hundreds times it happened. So I was having a date with a girl, you know. She has to come to my place, and she was saying, okay, you live really far, 1 hour, but I'm still gonna come, you know. So I told her, okay, you can come, but are you sure? And first thing is that if an Italian coach like coaches you, he will never say to you, tell the girl, asks for, you know, if she's coming. And I said, and she was like, yeah, I'm gonna come. And then 1 hour before coming to my place, she was basically telling me, oh, yeah, but can we meet to a public place? I cannot come. 1 hour is too far. And I sent her an audio and I said to her, I feel really angry because you disrespecting my time. So at the beginning, you were said to me 100%. And now I'm angry because I've organized my evening, I did my stuff, I trained it, and now you're telling me this. Guess how it's finished?
Of course, you
She
come to your
was
place.
saying, okay, no, I'm sorry, you are right, I'm coming, just make me come. And she also brought the wine. So she came. So like if you are coaching someone in Italy and like you have a flake, no one will say to you, be you. Like, man, she's disrespecting you. Being you, being angry is an emotion. It's not either good or bad. Being angry with women, it's not bad. If a woman shit tests you and you feel angry, in a polite way, say to her, I feel angry.
Yeah.
And it's better to say to the girl that you feel angry instead of hiding it and pretending that it's not there. That's really curious.
I had it too. Like I was dating a few girls in Budapest now when I was there, and one of the girl, like she told me like we were gonna meet, and she's like, oh, I'm too tired from work. And I told her, I'm like, hey, listen, like if you're really too tired, I understand, but I feel disappointed. And then she's like, come over. Of course.
Yeah. Because if you get coached by someone in Italy, they will say to you, don't feel butter. Say to her, okay, ha 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 ha, have a good night. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, the situation is pretending to be cool. That is not cool.
Of course, it's like okay, maybe it's best to not to be butthurt, but if you're butthurt, it's best to be butthurt, because if you're pretending you're not butthurt, that's the worst, because you are butthurt, but pretending you're not, but you still are.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, if you're butter and you express it, you can remove it. But if you don't, like people, they don't realize that the girl, it's testing you because she doesn't feel like she sends some fakeness more often than not. So we are going to the end of this live, of the reality, and let's talk about my immersion. So I was the typical guy, you know, on the technical side. So what did you saw about me going from the beginning, you know, of the immersion through everything, basically?
I would say you had very good intentions and you were open, like when we started, which is pretty much all we needed. And when we took you through the immersion, you realized a lot of things. You started telling us like, oh, we didn't have to say, hey, Alessio, you are fake. You were like, oh, wait, I was fake here. Oh, and I was fake here. And then I did the primal honesty, and then she liked me a lot. I remember all these things, you know. You were being confused, because not confused, pleasantly surprised, because a lot of you had a lot of strong emotions as well. But I remember you having a lot of good experiences when you did primal honesty, in a way that I don't think you would have had this without the immersion, because it would probably be hard for you to step into that unless you had someone to do it at the time, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
As I remember, and then the time travel we did was huge, because we went through all the past of the bullying and, you know, the crap that made you feel very as a not complete human being, you know. And in the time travel, I showed you that this is just beliefs you created. You are 100% complete human being.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna tell you maybe something I never told you because I realized it after, you know.
Mm.
The first night, like my students, when they come to me and I tell them, be you, they start to freak out, you know. Some,
Yeah.
not all of them, but some of them, you know.
Mm.
And I vividly remember the first night that we had the coaching, and you were saying to me, how do you feel? And I was like, approach anxiety. So I went to that girl and I expressed the anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
And I was seeing that the girl was talking to me. And I was like, what the fuck? I was expressing to the girl the most um, counterintuitive, weak thing, and and she is still there, and she's still talking to me.
Yeah.
But the mind-blowing thing, and you're right, I was confused because
Mm-hmm.
as all the guys, I was investing time, energy, and money. I was going out 6 nights a week. And I remember one situation where you told me, and then Chris, if you feel you are not enough, and if you feel the girl, she's too beautiful for you, express it. And I was like, yeah, but it doesn't have sense. I mean, I I've stayed with girls like that are more beautiful than her. And you were like, express it. The moment
Yeah.
I expressed to the girl that I was feeling afraid because I was feeling that she was too beautiful for me,
Mm.
she was attracted, and I made out with her. That night,
Yeah.
I went home and I was like, my purpose has to reveal this because I was like many guys, I was the most technical guy in the world. I knew everything. I knew the time, the place, the angle, the routine, the mask, the pull, the objection, the counter objection, the report. I knew everything,
Yeah.
but it was bullshit. So
Yeah.
I was still able to attract a girl and be with her. And I remember that I dated a girl for some days in Poland, and
Mm.
it wasn't happening to me in a long time because after the sex, gone.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the problem with the techniques that people don't realize, you know. Okay.
It's yeah, I would say, like, actually, when you feel all of these bad emotions, this is perfect, because finally you get to deal with them. The goal needs to be in a year's time that you can handle all of your negative emotions, because if in a year's time you can handle all of your negative emotions, or even in 6 months time or 3 months time you can handle your emotions to a great extent, your whole life is going to change,
Yeah.
not only with women.
Yeah. What was the like in your program, like the core, and what was the core, even for me, was a meditation. So you were implementing meditation, and we did a meditation, you know, that was doing like was going deep, and like how much it lasted? 4 hours, 5 hours, I think.
5, 6 hours. Yeah.
Okay, it was very long actually. I remember and I showed the people about a footage. Like I just have a picture of you touching me when like we were going at the end of the meditation. Did you remember when
Yeah.
it was this, when I released this, basically the whole thing?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
And like elaborating on that to like to get to the end, um, what are your thoughts about meditation and the, you know, the the power of meditation in picking up women? Because many guys think that meditation is just for woo woo pussy, you know, and it's just a woo woo thing for monks. What do you think about that? Maybe it is, you say.
You know, if you are a monk with a sexual desire, probably you're gonna kill it. That's it. The only
Nice.
problem with a monk is that they don't care about getting laid, actually. But if they did, I'm sure they could very easily, because a stable mind is so much more powerful than people understand. If you have a stable mind, you can do anything you want. And that's what I've understood in the last years, and why I devoted myself so much to certain spiritual practices, is because I'm building a very, very stable mind and stable brain. The first steps for me and for my clients was the meditations. You know, what we did was a guided sort of mindset, and I would say kind of not like a therapy, but almost, which included meditation, which we call the time travel. But there's many other ways. I would say meditation is probably what you need for everything in your life. If you don't think it's related to women, why don't you start to think about a hot girl you approach when you meditate, and see how you feel? It's
Yeah.
gonna trigger something. It's gonna trigger
Yeah.
something for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. It is safe to meditate alone. In these months of meditation, few times I was almost pulled out of the meditation or felt strange heat, fear, and I started sweating. What do you think it may be in the cause? I will say before you answering that
Yeah,
it's just a release. It's just a
yeah.
release. It's just a release. So it
Mm.
just in a way, it's just your body releasing the emotions.
I would say no matter what happens, just allow it. Just allow it. You feel strange, don't pay attention so much to it. Just sit there and let it happen. You feel strange, that's okay. You feel heat, that's okay, you know. Nowadays I can sit for 1 hour. Even if my knee hurts like for 30 minutes, I can sit, because I have mastered the art of not paying so much attention. That's what happens with meditation. But Alessio is right.
Yeah.
It's just a release.
Uh, Another guy asks about telling us that he's a little too anxious to do meditations. What do you suggest to him? To do the same, to
I would
meditate
say
the
this,
same.
like, basically
So
just
there
sit
is
down and breathe
there
and
is this
relax.
Lorenzo that keeps saying that during the social prime boot camps, they use breathing meditation and rebirthing therapy techniques. And I would say that it doesn't matter even if it's called the archangel meditation process. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters if it works. I mean, the purpose of this live, it's not to take credit for the whole psychology thing. The purpose of the immersion and the live is just to, you know, to address a way to solve a problem. We are not here to get graduated in anything. I'm not graduated in anything, and I don't actually want to because I earn more than be graduated, so it's okay. So guys, if you have any last questions, it's more than 1 hour, 1 hour and 15 minutes of this live. Pose your last questions, and before concluding, I want to say that you, Niels, have retreated from the coaching, but you maybe you maybe want to say to the guys that you still actually do some stuff, and if they wanna contact you, they can. You will select them. Just tell the people.
Yeah, so basically, I have stopped doing dating coaching because I don't feel it in my heart anymore. But I'm doing mindset coaching and I'm doing inner work coaching still. So I'm still doing the same thing I was doing in social prime, that I have these 7 years of experience, but it's not with dating only. It can also be applied, but I'm not interested to just help guys with dating in this way. But I'm still doing with pickup. I'm still doing the inner work, releasing blockages and so on. And anyone that's interested can contact me on Facebook. And what it means to be interested is I'm actually going to start to coach a lot of people right now, and give them intro calls, which means that you can have 1 or 2 calls where we just work together. If you like it, that's cool. If you want to do something more, then we can work into something deeper. So it's just, for me, I want to coach much more. So I'm giving that to a lot of people. So anyone is able to do that if they want.
Okay. I have 2 final questions for you. One, I think it's really difficult, but I'm curious. I never asked you how. I mean, it's not a war. I went outside the war. I'm not in this war anymore. I date girls. I feel way better. I date them. I stay with them and everything. But how many girls did you had? How many girls did you had? Are you able to say a number?
It's hard. I would say I counted until I hit 100, and this was in 2016. So that's a long time ago.
I think it's gonna be multiplied by 4 or maybe 5. Man, it's crazy. Sure.
Maybe a little bit less than 300 or something. I have no idea, to be honest.
It's crazy.
But it's possible.
And the last question is imagine this. Watching this live, maybe, just maybe, there is a guy, the old Alessio, let's just say, that he's interested in in getting women, but is not so fully on with the honesty thing, let's just say. What is the best advice can you give to this guy to crack the shell just a little bit? Just a little advice to make this guy really be aware of what's going on. Yeah.
1,000 is too much. Not that much. Definitely not.
Lorenzo is doing a lot of things. Yeah, elaborate on
Yeah,
that. That is
I will ask.
curious.
So there's one requirement, and then that only requirement is that he in some way has felt something is off. Because if he still hasn't felt, it's not time yet. So if he doesn't feel like something is off in some way, he wouldn't even be interested in listening. But if he does that, my one advice is find out what that is. Find
Yeah,
out what's off.
I think it's the really most amazing answer that you can give us, because if you're not ready for it, you won't see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question. You never fell in love with a girl?
What the
Actually,
fuck?
for
I
me,
fall in love.
1,000
Yeah.
times. But I
I
cannot elaborate on that.
I fell in love 1 year ago and I got heartbreak.
Yeah, it
I got
happens.
heartbreak. Yeah. I
Yeah,
fall in love in Colombia.
yeah. I mean, it happens. We are human. So,
Yeah.
guys, this is the end of the live. It was a really good live, and the best thing you can do for you is actually replay this live and actually see another point, like another point of view, that it can be really confusing in the beginning, but if you are ready, many of the things that we were saying into this live will resonate on you, and you will find some thoughts and on the back of your mind saying to you, but maybe these two guys they're saying something true, and you can elaborate on that. You will find the links, everything at the end of the video. So thank you, Niels. Really thank you for your time. Really thank you for opening the eyes, let's just say, to all the guys, and we wish you a really good evening.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is basically if anyone is interested in contacting me, Alessio's gonna drop my Facebook link.
Sure.
In
Yeah.
the and
Yeah.
like I said, I'm offering like to actually have a call, which is just intro call, no strings attached, just for me to feel, because I'm also looking for new clients, but I'm not gonna sell on the call. I'm gonna coach on the call. So if you want
Yeah, old style
uh,
coaching stuff. Yeah, old
yeah, and
style.
if the coaching itself sells, that's different. But I'm just saying, so that's open for anyone that's listening to this. And you will reach me through the Facebook. So unless you will drop the Facebook down
Yeah.
below, you can add me and send me a message so I know that you know me from here, and then we can talk.
Okay. Thank you, Niels, for your patience and for your time. See you guys to the next live. But the chapter of the primal honesty is not over yet. Maybe we will have some